No kid's Jewish education should end at 13. Adjerba offers Ontario high school credits infused with Jewish learning online for teens across the province. Ministry approved, intellectually demanding, Jewishly transformative. Adjerba.ca. Your teen belongs here.
Why are 17 of Canada's Jewish summer camps being threatened by a new boycott campaign from a coalition of pro-Palestine groups who hope to cripple the camps over their support for Israel and their hiring of Israeli staff? And how are Jewish camps and leaders responding to the campaign, which not only urges official camping associations in Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes to de-certify the accreditation of these camps, but also asks the federal government's tax department to strip the camps of their charitable status because of the programming which supports, quote, a genocidal state. In just over 4 months, thousands of campers and staff will be heading out to Jewish overnight summer camps from coast to coast. But over the weekend, many of their families may have noticed a new Canadian anti-Israel boycott campaign aimed directly at the financial sustainability of the camps. The campaign was launched by Just Peace advocates and a coalition of 4 other anti-Israel groups who did a deep dive into the hiring practices and the programming at camps ranging from Camp Masad, Manitoba, to Camp Kadima in Nova Scotia and Camp Timberlane in Ontario. They say having former IDF soldiers as staffers and welcoming special visits by emissaries from Israel who served in the IDF, even commemorating Israel's National Day of Remembering the Fallen Soldiers, are all grounds for these camps to lose their status and federal funding too. While public reaction has been swift from many Jewish advocates and some allies, none of the individual Jewish summer camp directors who we contacted responded to our request for interviews, except for Camp Northland, who politely declined to comment. It appears these individual camps have decided not to amplify the boycott's impact and not wanting to give it too much airtime.
It feels sad that this is where we are right now, that there are organizations out there that think it is okay to attack the youth of this country, to attack individuals in leadership roles, to try to delegitimize well-established, important organizations that are building future leadership of our country, that are contributing to society.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Welcome to North Star, the flagship podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. The Ontario Camps Association, which represents about 350 camps, mostly non-Jewish, drew our attention to this campaign last Friday when they released a blistering statement just ahead of the Family Day long weekend. Their board condemned the targeting of Jewish campers and staff. They also denounced the singling out for discrimination of their own executive director, Joy Levy, who was publicly accused of, quote, being a Zionist who publicly supports Israel, its military, and promotes anti-Palestinian racism, unquote, among other things. On today's episode, we'll hear reaction on several fronts. Later, you'll hear from Simon Wall, the CEO of B'nai B'rith Canada. He previously was director at Camp Northland. And you'll also hear what Joy Levy wrote to me about how she's been impacted after being personally singled out for public harassment and having her photos and social media posts published. But first, we're joined now by Risa Epstein. She's the CEO of Young Judea Canada, an umbrella group for 9 Zionist camps operating in Canada, including some on the hit list in the boycott campaign. Risa, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Before we tell our listeners a little bit of what this campaign is this the first time that people have gone after Jewish summer camps in this way since October 7th?
Absolutely not. Last summer, there was another campaign also naming us and other Jewish camps. It turned out that it was written by a Jewish author the last time. I'm not sure who authored this one, but this is definitely not the first or the last time, I'm sure, that something like this has occurred.
Okay, I will have to look up the other one, but these people they're the Just Peace advocates. They're the ones that successfully went after Jewish National Fund of Canada and had them revoked. Partly they're doing They've gone after Jewish foundations. They've gone after big Canadian Jewish donors. And now they're targeting 4 months before camp starts. So in their accusations, when you read them, what is the Young Judea's position on this campaign?
Look, we don't like to give it too much airtime, and this is something that we're familiar with anyways, something that has been discussed amongst all the camps with the Jewish Security Network and other agencies like that across the country. I think that even prior to October 7th, but especially since October 7th, Jewish summer camps, ours included, have done everything in their power to tighten up security for their camps, be it through generous grants given out to them for fencing, 24-hour surveillance, more cameras, alarm bells, whatever the audit of security was deemed necessary at each and every camp. I don't know of a camp who hasn't adhered to it. We've also, most of us have wiped our social media and our websites of identifying information, location. So I think that even before this, we have done everything as a community of Jewish summer camps to keep our kids safe and our staff safe, because that is, regardless of the situation, always on the top of our priority list.
When you say the security, I know that, just as an aside, the Canadian government mentioned funding for program. They have a new name for it. It's called CSIP. It used to be called SIP, but this was the first time this past year they mentioned summer camps. So
correct.
Yeah.
And look, I visited some of our affiliated camps last summer, and already there was security fences that there weren't before. There was daytime security. We've always had night security for obvious reasons because people have to sleep, but now it's in shifts of for 24-hour coverage. Many of the camps have put up cameras in some of their more remote areas of camp, more lighting in areas that might have been dark prior to, and taking their security protocols very seriously when it comes to people entering and leaving their camp.
When you look at the broader allegations saying that the programming is Zionist and anti-Palestinian, racist, does that mean that your camps are going to change their programming?
Definitively no. Canadian Judea is a Zionist youth organization, and we say that proud and strongly. Zionism, it has clear definitions, but how you experience your Zionism or educate Zionism comes in a multi-focus lens. There isn't one view of a Zionist or one political view or one agreement, even though sometimes the loudest voice in the room wins. Definitely as educators, our goal has always been to give a balanced view of what Israel is, or what Zionism is. The whole idea of being an educator is to allow your learner to learn and educate themselves and come to their own decisions. If I wake up in the morning and I say, I want everybody to be this kind of Zionist, and I believe in this, and that's what I go out to teach, I'm not really an educator then, because education isn't black and white, it's full of grays. So I hope to continue educating both in Canada and in Israel, and we take kids to Poland as well, looking at all sides of the situation, understanding narratives, having difficult conversations, and letting our learners and our young people make decisions as they grow and mature and experience for themselves.
They went after specifically the fact that some staffers have had service in the IDF in some camps. How does the system respond to this kind of thing? And secondly, is this going to discourage Israeli kids from coming to be staffers with this pressure?
I
Have
don't
you heard
think so.
any already?
I mean,
impact?
it's been sad that in the last 2 years, when the situation in Israel has been so upsetting and so unsafe for so many Israelis, that some of them are phoning us and going, "Are you okay in Canada?" And you feel like saying, "Yeah, we're fine. We don't have Iran bombing us, and our people running to bomb shelters." But that's the reality. The situation has clearly changed, where Israelis are concerned for Canadian Jews or Jews globally and their safety. I think that we educate our kids, and I think that we educate our families as well, that almost every Israeli citizen is drafted into the army at the age of 18, male or female, and they have to do their service accordingly. And I don't think that that would stop us from bringing these young people in. I know it will not stop us from bringing these young people in, and it also allowing them to explore their story with our community. And I don't think any of our young Israelis who work for us, either through the Sokhnut, which is the Jewish agency that sends hundreds of summer shlichim to our camps, have any intention of stopping what they're doing. That is not the answer to this kind of fear mongering. The answer to fear mongering is staying on our message, being proud of who we are, teaching our staff and our campers and our families about resilience, strength, and pride.
Our listeners may remember I brought it up earlier. This group that is now doing this particular campaign lobbied very hard for years to get Jewish National Fund's charity status revoked. And that is what they're trying to do for any government funding to any of these summer camps. Does your camps in your system get any government funding at all? And are they at risk of this? Are you at risk at all?
I think the security funding is the only funding we have, but there's also Summer Jobs Canada that a lot of camps participate in. We don't know who got accepted this year or not. It's too early in the year.
And charitable status.
And charitable statuses, I think, and I'm talking this way because Young Judea has a charitable status as a scholarship fund. Many of our camps have their own charitable status. I'm a chairperson of another Israeli charity that was audited. What we've learned is Revenue Canada or CRA is under an obligation. If they hear a complaint, they must follow up on it. And you can make a complaint about anybody and any charity you want. And eventually, as that charity gets, like, there's a long list and they work their way through. And then it's about compliance. Is it difficult for an Israeli charity to follow the guidelines of compliance? Yes. Do they make it impossible? No. I think that the camps know exactly why they got their charitable status. And I think they know how to make sure they're crossing all their T's and dotting all their I's to stay within compliance.
Okay. On a more sort of emotional level to this, what have you been hearing, if anything, from your staffers, from your parents, from your campers who are already maybe nervous about showing Israeli pride in public or on social media, and then this happens and they're coming to camp, right?
I first of all, I don't think this is mainstream. I don't think most of our families know about it. They might now because the OCA got involved and the UJA, but on an ongoing basis. But I think they have faith in us. We haven't heard much. Our camps, and I think all Jewish camps have a resurgence in popularity. Most camps are full to the waiting list only capacity. I think parents trust us with the most vulnerable of their possessions, which is their children, and they trust us to take care of them with a full heart. And, I was a camp director at Camp Soling for 13 years, and I used to say to my staff every summer, no matter what you think about a child who walks off that bus, remember, to the parent who sent it to us, it's their most precious possession, and we have to take care of it accordingly. And I think it's the same when it comes to their security because of hate, their emotional well-being, their physical well-being. I think our directors are up to the task. And I think families have a lot of faith in us and believe that we really put our care and mind into this.
Are you going to be doing messaging at all?
Every camp is entitled to do whatever messaging they want. Each camp is independent and has its own board of directors. I don't believe at this point anybody has decided to do anything. It's hard to make a message in February for what might be in June or July, but I think our families know that we're vigilant, and if any changes have to be made accordingly to our program, our process, who comes into camp, who's allowed out of camp, how many security we have, they know that we'll make those decisions on a day-to-day basis.
You mentioned the OCA, so let's quickly end on talking about that. The Ontario Camping Association, some of our listeners may have not seen this letter that was released. Were you involved in that at all?
No.
Okay.
That letter came out because Joy Levy, the executive director of the OCA, who happens to be a Jew and a Zionist, was called out and viciously attacked in the article. And I think that the OCA came out in defense of their executive director, as they should.
It was a very strong letter and a very welcome by many people in the community. Tell us about what you think other people should perhaps get out of this letter.
Jews think that the only people involved in summer camping are Jews. Like, are there any other camps that aren't for Jews? Well, summer camping is a huge industry across this country and across North America. And most of the summer camps are not Jewish. And for the OCA that represents the majority of not Jewish camps and the minority of Jewish camps, to come out that strongly in support of the Jewish community, of Jewish camping, and of their executive director should all make us feel proud and very good about the Ontario Camping Association.
They also supported the IRA definition of anti-Semitism,
Yes,
which International Holocaust, which was also something, it's provincial policy, it's federal policy, but for the camp.
and it was very nice to see it in writing. It's been a long time coming. I was very happy to see that. You know, I can't talk on behalf of all the camps, but I hope parents listen closely. I represent a lot of summer camps. That there is nothing more important to any director, even the ones I don't know, than the safety and security of their campers and their staff, and that they have to have faith with us and the boards that dictate what we do, that we are doing everything in our power to ensure that this summer goes without a hitch, that every camper comes and leaves happy and fulfilled and engaged.
Thank you for being with us on the CJN's North Star podcast.
Thank you. Have a good day.
The Ontario Camps Association says the accusations won't push them to strip any camps of their accreditation because their requests are based on geopolitics and a camp's religious or cultural identity, while they evaluate the camps based on provincial safety standards and education. And Quebec's Camping Association told me they follow a similar policy. Joy Levy, the executive director, wasn't able to do a taped interview for our show. She's attending a camping conference. But she sent me a written statement where she revealed the personal toll and also her gratitude for the support she's received both from her own team as well as the public. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This hurts and it's hard, Levy told me. She says she remains committed to being a proud and outspoken Jewish Zionist that she will not hide or apologize for. We all know anti-Semitism didn't begin in October 2023, she says. It has a long and painful history, unquote. While the Jewish Security Network of UJA Federation of Greater Toronto has weighed in, revealing there have been ongoing risk assessments done on the camp's premises, the JSN says it's been providing structured security guidance, training, and support to ensure that summer camps remain safe and secure for all participants. The Foundation for Jewish Camp out of New York has also pledged support and says it wants to reassure families that at this time there are no specific threats, but to reach out if they have security concerns. B'nai B'rith Canada is actively reviewing whether this boycott campaign has crossed the line in terms of workplace safety violations or harassment or other forms of potential legal action. And B'nai B'rith is working with the Ontario Camps Association on next steps. Before joining B'nai B'rith as their CEO last fall, Simon Wohl spent years as head of Camp Northland, one of the 17 camps on the target list. He joins me now.
Thanks for having me, Ellen.
I'm wondering how B'nai B'rith sees this campaign to defund in terms of federal funding and de-certify Jewish summer camps.
Yeah, well, this is just another example of the ongoing insidious campaigns that are out there to really collectively punish the Jewish people, to demonize and delegitimize Israel, Jewish Canadians, and affiliations for foreign geopolitical conflicts and how they impact Canadians at home.
And what is B'nai B'rith saying to do about it, if anything?
Well, we've been in direct contact with the Ontario Camps Association, and we were engaged in that capacity as a national human rights organization. We have expertise in combating anti-Semitism specifically, and part of our role is to help institutions respond to any type of hate-related incident, and that's the role that we've been playing here so far. And part of the advice that we're giving them is to speak with clarity and to speak with courage, which, based on the statement that I saw the OCA recently release, I believe they've done. Let's remember that this particular incident, it wasn't in response to anything that the OCA said or did. This particular incident was something that was unprovoked. It was an organized campaign specifically targeting Ontario summer camps.
What is it that they have to learn to do in order to combat talking points or?
Yeah, I think it's really important that everybody in any leadership position gets educated on not only understanding anti-Semitism from a historical point of view, but also the nuances of the newest form of contemporary anti-Semitism, which is masked as anti-Zionism. It's also important that people understand that our country has adopted the IRA definition, working definition of anti-Semitism. When an organization tries to target the IRA definition of anti-Semitism as a reason why an organization is doing something wrong, in other words, by saying that because an organization supports the IRA definition, they're doing something wrong, we have an inherent problem given the values that our country, and in this particular case, the province of Ontario, has also chosen to adopt.
It is a federal law since 2019. So you are speaking to me with sort of a hat and a half because you spent many years as a camp director. And I'm talking personally, what does it feel like when a summer institution so beloved as all these camps comes under this kind of hate and scrutiny, as you said, unprovoked?
It feels sad. It feels sad that this is where we are right now, that there are organizations out there that think it is okay to attack the youth of this country, to attack individuals in leadership roles, to try to delegitimize well-established, important organizations that are building future leadership of our country, that are contributing to society. The way that organizations think it's okay to target these institutions in this misguided war that they're having, trying to collectively punish the Jewish people, is first and foremost sad. It's tragic for our country that this type of thing happens. It's tragic that the misinformation and lies are allowed to continue to spread. And for me, as a Canadian, it's frightening that we don't see all of the pushback that we should from every organization that can speak with moral clarity and a common voice for understanding the difference between what is right and what is wrong.
Is, hiring Israeli staffers or people who were in the IDF or people who, even in Canada, who are staffers. What does B'nai B'rith say to speak about this?
And to be clear, I will say I'm speaking on behalf of B'nai B'rith Canada, none of the camps themselves. This is just another example, really, of a form of bigotry. It's basically saying that because someone is from Israel, that it's okay to actually frame them in a certain label of having done something wrong, of having been involved or complicit in something inappropriate that people take offense to. And this is just another misguided piece of misinformation that is trying to demonize the Jewish people. In the most modern way to do that is by saying, well, because you're connected to someone from Israel, it's time to delegitimize what you stand for, you as a person and your organization.
What does B'nai B'rith say about this email campaign, this sending complaints into the federal revenue department so that they will strip these Jewish summer camps of their federal charity registration, so they'll no longer be able to issue tax receipts? How risky is that?
Well, I think anytime you try to inappropriately leverage government action to achieve a political agenda is dangerous in society. And I think that if an organization is operating the way they should under CRA, they should be left alone to operate. And similarly, if an organization is not, then there's a role for CRA to play. And I don't think that has anything to do with whether or not an organization is, then there's wrong. And if people are doing things the right way, then there shouldn't be any repercussion. And I don't imagine there would be any response from CRA. So I'm worried about a campaign that may not have any validity or merit to it. I'm not worried if the CRA is doing their job properly, objectively, and in appropriate ways.
Okay, so what happens next? What, if anything, is B'nai B'rith Canada doing on the federal level or speaking to political leaders to try to mitigate or stop this campaign?
Well, I think that strategy right now is being developed together with the Ontario Camps Association and other stakeholders. Too early to say exactly what route we will take. I will say that we will make sure that we're actively involved in continuing an ongoing education. I think we're going to provide institutional support, just like we always do in these types of situations where there's the discrimination issue surfacing in their environment and institution. We need all of our institutions to have resilience, and we'll work with them on building those capacities. I think community safety is a big key of the conversation. We're going to be looking at ensuring that any assessments and protocols, procedures, and considerations around community safety are certainly continuing to be top of mind. Unfortunately, that is not a new piece for the Jewish community, institutions, and agencies to be considering, but certainly if there are funding implications there, that will be a place where B'nai B'rith Canada will play a national role. We want to make sure that there isn't harassment taking place, so it's both the physical safety, but also the emotional safety and stability of really children that are in these environments and youth that are in these environments, of course, the adults as well. We want safe spaces, and one of our roles as B'nai B'rith Canada is to safeguard spaces within Canada, and this would be no exception. And the third is just to make it clear that this is not something unique to the Jewish community. We are a national human rights organization, and we are, to be clear, completely independent of the Ontario Camps Association. They're one of many, many, many organizations we work with across the country. Under really a principle of equal protection. There should be the same standards for all communities. There shouldn't be discrimination. Really, it's about taking a rule of law approach.
Is there anything illegal in terms of human rights that this campaign may be touching on or crossing a line?
So that is still being explored, but we do have a team right now that is researching that and the affiliated links and the connections and the statements that have been made to see whether or not that is an area that we need to move into further in our assessment and action. We'll have your back and are in this together with you.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounded like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to the generous support of Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin's charitable foundation. Please take a moment to learn more. You can read my longer feature article on the situation with the camps on the CJN's website. It's at the link in our show notes. And here's one more thing you can do. Help more people discover this podcast. Put a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. The link how to do that is also in our show notes. North Star is produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman, with Michael Freeman as our executive producer and Alicia Richler as editorial director. The music is by Brett Higgins, and I thank you for listening.